This four-rotor project has made 2016 one hell of a ride. If one thing is constant in my life, it's the fact that failure is directly between me and success. What is nice to know at this point, and one of the reasons that I've taken a month and a half off and kind of hidden away from everybody, is that month leading up to SEMA, November 1st through the 4th, that car wasn't going to make it. And the most important person to clarify and to make it monumentally important to know was involved in the success of this project, even just bringing a prototype to SEMA, was Abel Ibarra. Abel is a wonderful friend of mine, and even more so because he helped me make this happen. But what's important to know is Abel put his name on the project. And what did that mean? There were three distinct moments, and we're going to do a whole video about what happened, but there were three distinct moments where there was not going to be a car. There was going to be empty space gathering dust at Garrett's booth. But you know who made it happen? Abel. The video I'm about to share with you was filmed a week before the adventures really got crazy, sharing all the people that were involved in the project, people that helped plan, people that had been talking for the last year, all of those people. We literally moved in, SEMA was 9 a.m. on Tuesday. We moved in Monday at 10 p.m. Here's some footage of that insanity. It wasn't until Gymkhana 7 was released in 2014 that the pieces of the puzzle became increasingly clear. Later that year, I attended 7 stock out in California. While four-rotor naturally aspirated race cars zipped around the track around us, I was introduced to a gentleman by the name of Abel Ibarra. Abel was an NHRA Hall of Famer, well known for pushing the envelope, researching and breaking and resetting records for more than 10 years. In almost a movie-like twist of fate, he'd kind of gone dormant in the last couple of years. Little did I know, he was looking for his next big project. It was there that we determined it was time to turbocharge one of those four rotors found in the Le Mans winning 787B. The thing was, I wasn't going to just buy that engine from a company out in New Zealand and hope it worked. I was going to build it from the ground up. So, with that, I purchased the eccentric shaft, or the crankshaft, of the vehicle, which was infamously lost by a certain shipping company and delayed my project for more than 9 months. Within that time, I had reached out to Ian Stewart, the owner of ASD Motorsports, the company infamous for building the Hoonicorn found in Gymkhana 7. I was just looking for advice on what to do with my build, but was humbled, was surprised that Ian took my call. And when I explained what my idea was, his exact words were, "You're crazy, I'm in, I want to help." Ian made me work for all the information that he had worked many years to create. I submitted and proposed suspension geometry, which he quickly shot down and showed me the errors of my ways. It was within that time that I realized I need to understand my suspension if I'm going to work with this company. And I did just that. When it came to camber, caster, kingpin angle, the dynamic camber gain, you name it, I had to understand what it was and why it was. That way I could apply the Hoonicorn suspension to my project. It was almost out of sheer terror and excitement that I began learning CAD to show that this drivetrain out of his vehicle and his creation could be adapted to the Mazda RX-7. Nobody believed it was possible, but I knew it. I had to believe it. So I began building very rudimentary designs and blocks for a turbo and blocks for an engine, but it showed that it was possible. Now it wasn't without challenge, but I knew it could be done. And in good Dahm fashion, we hit a massive show-stopping roadblock. It was found that the SEDEV SC90, the transmission out of Ken Block's car, was not capable of handling both the amount of torque I intended, as well as the top wheel speed I'm aiming for. As I frantically called every single transmission place that I could even imagine, it was Dana from Hollinger USA who came in to save the day. Dana had a solution for, this hurts to say, but a GTR. It was their RD6 unit that they had used in their all-wheel drive application on their R33 GTRs. The thing is, Mad Mike used that same transmission, but not in an all-wheel drive capacity. It was almost meant to be that I was going to take this rotary engine adapter, as well as this GTR beautiful technology, and merge it all together to make a drivetrain nobody had ever seen. And it was that drive shaft going to the front differential that required my turbo setup to be extremely simplified. That's where Garrett came in and solved all of my problems. Their GTX 5533R, which is their largest ball-bearing turbo they make, was not only capable of giving me the response I wanted for the street, but breathing an insane amount of air, and which resulted in horsepower at the top end. After many months of proposed suspension geometry back and forth, it was finally determined that we were going to use the Hoonicorn's exact suspension geometry in my car. The biggest downfall was that the Hoonicorn was 4.5 inches wider than the RX-7 on each side. Although this build is the epitome of form following function, we enlisted the help of Ian Brokeman to help design a wide-body kit for this car that had never been seen. The reason why is I even went out and purchased a Rocket Bunny kit, finding that the rear wheels were almost identical in track width as the Hoonicorn, but the fiberglass reinforced plastic was not strong enough to handle speeds more than 140 to 150 miles an hour before they needed to be reinforced again. It was determined we were going to make our own metal body. I was blown away when the representatives at Garrett Turbo asked me if I wanted to unveil this car at their booth at SEMA. Here I am, this guy here in this garage, where last year it was Mad Mike, a professional racing team. Their car was there. It's a big national event, and I am the one showing off a car in their booth. My vision was simple, which meant the execution and of course the engineering was going to be very complex.